The same exact thing is due to happen with the Wolfman. What do I mean? Well, the same exact thing is due to happen with the Wolfman. What do I mean? Well, just like The Exorcist Believer had the same director, the same producer even, and obviously the same studio as the Halloween trilogy, well, guess what? The Invisible Man has the same director, studio, and producer as the Wolfman. And boy, howdy, have they been touting. It's funny to me how the Invisible Man of 2020, I think, yeah, 2020, is like such this rousing success, except keep a couple things in mind. Okay, this was like such a rousing success. So why is it that you only talk about how much money it made? Like, you never talk about the characters, you never talk about the story, you never, mind you, it's an Invisible Man. Isn't that like perfect for, oh my God, like, wouldn't the premise lend itself to people describing the tension and the suspense, that eerie feeling of always being watched? You get none of that. Nobody talks about that. People.
Even a man who is weak at heart and counts his cash at night may become a wimp when the profits bloom and the money grubbing is right. Hello, one and all, back to the Inquisition. Docket number 006, case file, Cry Wolf, the Blumhouse failure, reinventing its Wolfman. I am Inkarnate, your Inquisitor General of the Mind's Eye, welcoming you back to the Mind's Eye Inquisition. On tap for tonight is a news network kicking up dirt and calling it smoke for the fire in a desperate pitch for relevancy. So, as your lead inspector on this case, if you've heard it through the grapevine, it's my job to trim the hedges. One would think, for me, after doing a movie PreCaustion before I went out to the theater, an aftershock upon return from the movie, and even before then, a reaction video to Blumhouse's behind the scenes special, one would think I'd be done with this movie. But now that several weekends have passed where we have both received and confirmed this film's box office, I wanted to round back on this because I still have plenty to say. I had forgotten that some time ago, it was Ryan Gosling who was said to be on tap to star in this movie. Well, I don't know who made out better because honestly, Ryan Gosling not only ain't no leading man, I'm sorry, but I can't imagine that he would have been any kind of influence or a box office draw for this film. But considering that he was never hired for the project, that's neither here nor there. However, keep something in mind. This is some background for the film in question. Wolfman was greenlit by Universal Studios for the financial failures of Renfield and The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I don't recall if Abigail, that crappy vampire movie from earlier this year, was made by Universal, but folks, looks like this little course correction that was the Wolfman brought disappointments all its own. Let's get into it. It landed at the number 13 spot, and only opening to $12 million off of a $25 million budget. Bitch, didn't you open to a 3-day weekend and you barely cracked 10 million? But it ain't all good news, for you see, in its follow-up weekend, they landed an additional breathtaking $3 million, amounting to a grand total of $17.6 million in 10 days. I just checked the box office before I came on. Bruh, it ain't any better. I think it dropped something to like 7th or 17th place, and it still hasn't even cracked 20 million. And to be honest, it couldn't have happened to a nicer pair of pricks involved in the director's chair and the producer's office. One thing that was repetitively spoken about was how they stripped back the lore. Well, I got news for you. Yeah, they certainly stripped back that lore every bit as much as they did the design. And speaking of, they had this same approach to Lee Winnell and Blumhouse's take on the unproduced Dracula film. One has to adore the sheer simple-mindedness of this con artist, that the best that he can do with these gothic characters is totally jettison the familiar tropes that have made these creatures familiar and iconic. I ain't saying that there's no room for novelty or nuance with these monsters, but understand that that's exactly what he is saying. His full mind believes he was contributing something to their legacy by amputating their signature calling cards. Addition by subtraction is not innovation. That math ain't mathin'. This has now happened twice. There shouldn't have been a once. And with his failure guaranteed, he can't touch Dracula, there won't be a thrice. So, we certainly dodged the silver bullet with that one. Honestly, it reads to me that the only thing that got stripped back was your ticket sales, not to mention the rug getting pulled from beneath you and the curtain getting drawn to expose you. For years, if not decades, Blumhouse and the shill media have utterly gorged themselves on the sole, singular, solitary talking point of box office and nothing else when it comes to discussion of their movies. Insert new movie made X amount of money off X amount of budget, making X times the budget back. Same old song, same old story. Well, hubris has betrayed you because now that lyric has been removed for you, deprived of you, begging the question, what else you got? What other sound bites can you rely on to save face and salvage a win out of such an embarrassing loss? Yeah, I bet you scrambling for a saving grace, and this latest letdown got your asses singing a new tune. And you want to talk box office? All right, let's talk box office. Stephen King's It 2017 is the highest grossing horror movie ever, and you don't see people regurgitating that detail over and over again ad nauseum. So, what is it about it that people do talk about? Well, how scary it is, the Bill Skarsgård performance, its standing as an instant hit and modern classic, the frightening moments, that opening scene that set the tone for the rest of the film, the ensemble cast. When the hell is the last time you gave a damn about any Blumhouse character, let alone an ensemble cast? And damn, ain't that one of the key ingredients to the greatest horror movies, the likes of the original Scream, John Carpenter's The Thing, and the Dawn of the Dead remake? So when it comes to the studio in question, if It 2017 sits as box office king, shouldn't it set the tone, meaning we as fans should concern ourselves with those other core components of story, scares, climax, and characters? Sorry, Blumhouse, as far as box office and your Wolfman movie, It 2017 is what leads the pack. Your focus was on expense at the expense of all else. Blumhouse's Wolfman movie did not have to be called Wolfman. But in a bid, excuse me, it could have been called anything, but they just had to try to capitalize on the Universal Monsters name brand. Well, now, not only did that backfire spectacularly, meaning that you join the failures that you were contracted to fix, like Dracula Untold, like Wolfman 2010, but now you, yes, you, have further tainted that brand with your own bland storytelling. You promised a top dog, but delivered a bottom bitch. Call it my own morbid sense of curiosity and sense of humor, but all of this has me looking forward to all the sequels of overrated horror films, taking a nosedive and a dirt nap for 2025. Oh yes, that includes your Megan, The Black Phone, Five Nights at Freddy's, Thanksgiving, etc., etc., etc. Well, congratulations, Blumhouse. You wanted to set the tone in a dumping ground month for the rest of the year, so shall it be, in the worst way possible. The worst way imaginable, with the release of a dung heap in a dumping ground month. Serves you right. I gotta ask, what is this condescending attitude towards monster myth? Everybody always wants to turn their nose up and act as though, these other, all of these other iconic lores and mythologies, that's just kids play. We can do it so much better. I don't understand it. I remember hearing this out of Guillermo del Toro's mockery of Bram Stoker's lore for his odious and forgotten The Strain. They did this with Interview with the Vampire and 30 Days of Night. Dude, if you want to make your own rules regarding these monsters, fine. Just stop pompously turning your pretentious nose up at the same mythology that built the genre that you're privileged to dabble in and can't improve upon. Getting back to the Blumhouse Wolfman. My God. As much as they tried to hype this movie up, reinventing the lore and all that crap, dude, honestly, like for real, they the scenes with and any type of how can I put it, carnivorous action or nocturnal activities or whatever, they were they tried so hard for any of this to be edgy, to be to break the rules, man, or to be have some level of shock value. Well, I hate to break it to you. The Wolfman cannibalizes his arm while his sickness takes hold. It breaks its jaw in the transformation, as you can see from the photo that's featured here. The whole wolf biting its own leg off above the ankle to escape a trap. I mean, honestly, how derivative can you get? This is what you thought people would this is what you thought would have people talking? This is what you thought would make your movie edgy or topical? Afraid not. Honestly, none of those were iconic scenes. None of that highlights or highlights of the movie. By the way, the central theme in this flick, didn't the whole father is the werewolf? Yeah, didn't that happen in the 2010 remake? I love when these films that are supposed to be improvements of what came before just end up ripping off said movies. For instance, crazed ex-boyfriend in The Invisible Man 2020, just like in Hollow Man. That is not a coincidence. Moving on. While trying to reinvent werewolf lore, all Blumhouse did with this Wolfman was debunk all their own myths. The indie approach to the Universal monsters and horror in general is not a guaranteed success and is now undeserving of getting an automatic free pass. Lee Winnell isn't some visionary director. Blumhouse shouldn't be put in charge of classics like Halloween or with their Exorcist Believer. Low budget does not promise big returns. creature effects do require talent, unlike slasher blood splatter. This movie's entire approach of revolutionize the Wolfman mythos was misguided. And my, oh my, what creature effects we were treated to with this one. This Wolfman looks nothing like a canine. Honestly, what were they thinking with this? Yeah, sure, this looks like a lycanthrope with Down syndrome. I mean, honestly, what the hell? Dude, I didn't even like the Hellraiser 2022 remake, but damn, son, at least they made an attempt at a trademark design for the Cenobites that was unique to that film. Blumhouse and Lee Winnell looked like they weren't even trying with this one, but that's what you get. This studio persisted on a steady diet of slasher trash and found footage for almost 2 decades, not even realizing that whether you're talking about the silent era, the Universal Classics, Atomic Age, Alien Invaders, the majestic 80s decade, it is the creature feature that is the definitive horror movie, not Masked Maniacs. So, with no experience with creature designs, when they stepped into the unfamiliar arena, they struck out before they even stepped up to the plate. They can talk about their stripped back approach all they want. You do not get full credit for a half-assed job. If you show me a crappy costume, I'm not interested in its backstory just because you don't know how to craft an interesting monster. Oh, but you gotta love how, in that behind-the-scenes special they released, not to mention that clip of the transformation that they spoiled, they seriously believe that they were going to salvage this dumpster fire by promoting practical effects. Yeah, did you focus test that buzzword? Did your market research tell you that? Your uninspired creature design grows chest hair and sprouts claws. Wow, you sure pulled out all the stops on that one. That's like creating a flashy new concept car with the selling point of tires and a rearview mirror. Stupid. Furthermore, all their key jangling during the movie in this lackluster attempt to innovate the Wolfman tropes. Dude, between the distorted audio and the bright shiny colors, I couldn't find the clip to show everyone, but in True Blood Season 5, Episode 2, when Tara becomes a vampire, there's a moment where she looks up at the sky and it becomes all glittery or whatever to sell her transformation into an undead creature. Yeah, tell me that single scene wasn't shamelessly and repeatedly ripped off during the Blumhouse flick as we're treated to Wolfo Vision. Child, please, reinventing my ass. I know that I knew that Nosferatu 2024 was going to utterly embarrass Wolfman 2025, but with talk recently that the same director is gearing up for a 2026 Wolfman movie of his own to release in the same Christmas season as Nosferatu, I think the message is loud and clear. Blumhouse, keep your grubby paws off the gothic monsters. Someone proven and someone better has already marked their territory. I started this video with a quote from my original coverage of Blumhouse's Wolfman. I believe it was the title of their video was called Lee Winnell and the New Era in Terror. God. Honestly, just what can you honestly say with these people? After David Gordon Green's plummeting Halloween trilogy and the embarrassing critical and commercial failure of Exorcist Believer, after Lee Winnell getting exposed with his latest Universal monster debacle, hey Blumhouse, you bitches are 0 for 2 at naming a kingmaker for your director's chair. Blumhouse wants these franchises, wants their trilogies, adores these name brands, just can't execute. I think it's appropriate to say that this is a case of the tail wagging the dog while the dog chases its tail. I told you Lee Whannell would be the next David Gordon Green, which means it's high time to Old Yeller that imposter's directing career pronto. Last time, I suggested lycanthrope movies to watch instead of Blumhouse's Wolfman. This time around, if you endured this dreck, allow me to recommend werewolf movies to get the taste of Wolfman 2025 out of your mouth. First up, Wolf. Yes, the Jack Nicholson film. I understand it's not a great horror movie, but it is a good drama. That's the best that I can say about it. Dog Soldiers. Another one would be Underworld. Finally, The Howling. So, this I think I'm finally done discussing this topic, but post-release, I was amazed that I still had items that I wanted to discuss. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you agree with the points that I've raised about it. So now let me discuss what is on the scene for the Mind's Eye Inquisition and the Greater Mind's Eye. So, I have had numerous watch parties, and I will have more to come, but as far as what is already on my channel, I have done a watch party for Beetlejuice that I invite you to. One for The Mean One, which was a B-movie evil Grinch horror flick that I absolutely loved. I did a watch party for Nosferatu 1922, and you can actually, since the film is public domain, it is a presentation of the film itself with my commentary. Also, I've been doing watch parties for Dexter Original Sin. Episodes 1 through 8 are available now. As far as live streams are concerned, I've done them of 2 separate remasters. One was Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, rounds 1 through 3. The other was The Thing, rounds 1 through 3. Also, as I mentioned, I've done PreCautions and AfterShocks. PreCautions are my movie preview before I go to watch said film, and my AfterShocks are my reaction videos fresh from the theater. So, I've done them for Blumhouse's Wolfman, as well as the Nosferatu remake. So, I invite you to take a gander at those. Now let's take a look at coming attractions. So, I'm going to be doing another Mind's Eye Inquisition of all of the casting for Scream 7. Jesus, like, honestly, they have cast the planet Earth at this point. And believe me, that's the selling point that they're trying to use, because I don't believe for a second that they have any solid idea for a 7th entry. And the fact that they lost half of their core 4 in the time between Scream 6 and now, dude, they've got casting and nothing else to go by. So I'll be doing a reaction video to that. Join me every Friday, well, the next 2 Fridays. I'll be doing Dexter Original Sin watch parties this Friday and the following at 8 p.m. Tuesday is my usual live stream night where I stream survival horror games. And not only will I have a new game called Colot for February, but I'm at the halfway mark of my winter streaming warning, which, as you can imagine, it's a survival horror winter-themed gaming event throughout the season of winter. This week coming up, I'm excited for. All week I'll be doing my 2025 horror preview, which includes movies, TV, and video games. So entries for this year, I will be doing a preview in each of those categories. Therefore, why is the Mind's Eye Inquisition the place for heated debate? because I ask the burning questions that inquiring minds want to know. If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.
Warn your friends. Warn everyone.